There we go. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Jane Stevens, and I'm the training manager here at Zolo. Today, we are talking about customer service. So this is a regular webinar that we do every month, usually around the end of the month, mid to end of the month, because it is a really important topic. So if you are new to Zolo, if you are new to real estate, it is so important to focus on customer service, not just because you want to do a good job, but also because hopefully it does generate some reviews for you, because that will give you credibility with new leads who might want to look you up to see, how long you've been in the business. And if they see some reviews, as I said, that will give you credibility. So we're going to start off and we're going to talk about that. Definitely let me know if you guys have questions along the way, or if you have any suggestions, things that maybe you have implemented in your business that is well received. People, have good comments about it. Definitely share that with me and the group, of course. Before we get started, I just want to say hello. I will just launch a poll here just so I know who I'm talking to today. So just a couple of questions, if you don't mind answering these. When did you get your license? How many transactions have you done, specifically leases, buyer transactions, just so I know what your experience level is. So if you can go ahead and answer that. In the meantime, while you guys are answering the questions, I did just want to pull up the calendar. So as you guys know, we have new agent orientation every Monday and Wednesday. On Monday, I focus on the CRM. So really how to talk to your leads initially, right? Build that rapport over the phone, convert those calls to showings. And then on Wednesday, we really talk about what happens when somebody likes something that you've shown them and they want to write an offer. What happens then? So on Wednesday, we talk about actually preparing an offer. And if you haven't already completed your mock offer, which is required to get your leads on, then join me on Wednesday and we'll walk through that. So that's tomorrow. And then, as I said, we do have a lineup on Tuesdays. This is a regular session that we do. And then on Thursdays, I usually have a lineup of experts that join me. So please join for all of that. And of course, you can find this calendar on the workplace group in the training channel. So let me just make sure I'm admitting everybody to the room here. And I will end the poll in a couple of seconds and go over the results. So let me give it 10 more seconds here for you guys to answer. So if you've just joined, when did you get your license? How many leases have you done? How many buyers have you worked with? Just so that I know who I'm talking to here today. So again, I'm still admitting people into the room. I'll end the poll there. And I've got about 70% of you who voted. So thank you for answering that. All right, so it looks like most of you have been licensed for less than a year. So again, welcome to Zolo, welcome to real estate. This is gonna be a really important piece of your business. Customer service, doing a good job, of course, but ultimately also getting reviews. So something I've done differently here today, and again, this is a regular session that we do every month. What I've done is I've actually pulled some reviews that have been posted recently on our Google business profiles. So I'll share those with you because, of course, positive feedback about certain things might be certain things you want to implement. So less than 1 year, welcome. How many leases have you done? It looks like almost half of you have done more than 5. So that's awesome. And then almost half of you haven't done any buyer transactions yet, but that's okay. Let's talk about how to best service these clients so that we can, of course, talk about customer service. Okay. Let's go ahead and jump in. Again, if you guys have any questions or any comments, anything that you've implemented in your business, I love hearing ideas. So please share them with me and I'll share them with the group. Just so you know, you can watch previously recorded sessions of this webinar, not only on our YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube, just search for Zolo Training and you'll see all of our sessions there. But of course, you have the Academy available to you as well. So if you're wanting to dive in a little bit deeper into certain topics, take a look in there. So as you guys know, hopefully you can find your Academy or the Zolo Academy in your CRM just by clicking on Tools on the toolbar and then clicking on Academy. That will take you to this page here. So I like to recommend clicking on the list view of courses because that will give you a list view of everything that's available. So you can do a quick, search and find so that you can find out, maybe phone calls if you want to strengthen that skill, right? How to really provide customer service over the phone initially when you're talking to somebody for the first time. What are some key questions to ask? What's some information to gather? And how best to word that. I will just plug here right now that we do have a call lab every Friday. It's a 4-week session, so if you haven't signed up for that, I would recommend you signing up for that. There will be a new session starting soon, I believe next week. So I'm just going to drop the email in the chat here. So if you are interested in signing up for the call lab, a great way to, fine tune your call skills, of course, and provide customer service, right starting from that initial phone call. So if you are interested in registering, just email realtor.support@zolo.ca. All right, let's get into it. So we're talking about customer service today. And as I already said, we're going to be talking about reviews. So we are going to be talking about, of course, how to provide the best possible service, maybe some tips for best practices, how to stay organized so that, nothing falls through the cracks, right? I think the takeaway with customer service is you want to make people feel important. So you want to make them feel like you have them top of mind. And you may be working with 5, 10, maybe even 20 clients. Hopefully you are. But so yeah, you want to make sure that everybody feels like they have your undivided attention. So that can be tricky if you don't have a system. So we'll talk about systems. We'll talk about what you need to implement in your business to generate positive reviews. But I wanted to kick off today by sharing some reviews that were posted on the Google business profile for Zolo. So if you search for Zolo, you will see our Google business profile. So I believe we have many more Google reviews than that. I think we're at 300 and something. I just searched it because I was looking for reviews that I could share with you guys, but we're still sitting at a 4.2. So definitely ask your clients to review you, not just on our Zolo Google business profile, but hopefully you have set one up for yourself or will set one up for yourself. If you don't, there are other places that we're going to talk about where you can generate reviews, because again, this is going to give you credibility for people who you are talking to in the future, right? If they have an amazing conversation with you through the Zolo system, but of course they haven't met you yet, they might do a quick Google search. So what are they going to find, right? So hopefully you are asking clients to post positive reviews, and even start out with friends and family if you haven't officially started yet. If you haven't really been out there, you don't have too many clients under your belt yet, ask your friends to post, positive, personality traits of yours that, will obviously go hand in hand with your real estate business. So lots of positive reviews here to share. So let's start off. So we had a review posted by Jeff. And shout out to Julia, who is the agent involved here. So he posts here that we had an excellent experience with our realtor, Julia Bosanen. She was attentive and really helped guide us through the home buying process. As first-time buyers, she was able to give us good advice and was readily available for any showing, which was crucial in this crazy market. She also always had a well-thought-out strategy on offer night and never made us feel pressured. She also always established a good relationship with the selling agent, which I believe kept us competitive during every offer night. I would recommend Julia to anyone looking for an agent and wouldn't hesitate to make use of her services in the future as well. So that's a really great review. And there's also some takeaways here, right? What did this agent do to, generate this positive review? It sounds like they probably went into multiple offers several times because he mentions there that they were competitive during every offer night. So that to me sounds like, more than once they were in a multiple offer situation. But yeah, it sounds like this agent, so again, shout out to Julia, that she was well prepared, right? And she really educated them on the process. Sounds like they were first-time home buyers. First-time home buyers are really great because you can walk them through the process, you can be thorough. And what we'll be talking about in today's session is having materials that you can share to help you educate them on the process, right? They want to feel like they know what to expect. That's going to definitely be important in this market, especially. You don't want any surprises. If your clients are surprised that they have to come up with a deposit, or they're surprised that there's 10 offers, or they're surprised that it went for well over ask instead of under ask, right? These are teaching moments, right? Those are things that hopefully you do implement and you do advise your clients on before an offer presentation night. So again, some really great takeaways here. So it looks like also this agent was readily available for any showing. I think that's super, super important. If leads are asking to see a property right now, you might not be available, but hopefully you can schedule them in fairly quickly. Take a look at when the properties are accepting offers. So if they are accepting offers tomorrow, don't suggest Friday, right? Don't suggest 3 days from now that we go take a look at the property. This business is quick, so you have to act accordingly. So if somebody is interested, first thing you should do, of course, is find out if they are accepting offers and then schedule the showing as quickly as mutually convenient, right? So it sounds like this agent was available for every showing, had a well thought out strategy, and they were well prepared. So great job, Julia. There are a couple more that I'll share with you just because, again, these are actually probably the best way to figure out what you should be implementing in your own business to provide customer service. If people are posting positive reviews and mentioning what they loved about that agent service, definitely that's something you can implement in yours. So we've got another review here posted by Paul, and he says, Ravi is the best real estate agent going. I'm on my 4th house and he beats anyone else. I sold my house and purchased a new one with little fuss. Ravi was able to show houses we would like. He also showed us some of the cheaper ones to give us a perspective. He is highly educated and a professional. I would recommend Ravi to anyone looking to buy or sell. So that's awesome. That's another great review. So again, the takeaway here, I think, is that, this agent, obviously, Ravi has gone above and beyond and not just shown them, the properties that are going to sell for the most amount of money. I think that's when realtors get a bad rap, right? When, clients feel like you're showing them things that are really pushing the budget, but it sounds like this agent in particular actually was showing them, some cheaper ones, well within their budget, as Paul says here, to give them a good perspective. So again, that's just, preparing your client, showing them all of the options. So that's another great takeaway. You'll see here that we do respond to these positive leads. So this is our client success manager here at Zolo. And so when people do post, then, we post kind of a thank you for their 5-star review. So that's also something that you maybe want to implement, when people take the time to, write a positive review, take the time to just thank them for that. All right, I think I've got a couple more. So we have a review here from Jade, who says she was working with Marjan. It was a smooth process. She was always consistent and quick with getting back to us. Most importantly, she had our best interest in mind the entire time. Her guidance through finding a place for us was beyond expectations. If we had to do it all over again, we would work with her in a heartbeat. Exceptional service and outstanding professionalism. So again, awesome job to Marjan. That's always good to hear. And then this is the takeaway, right? It sounds like she was consistent and quick with getting back to them. So that's definitely important. Talking about the CRM in the new agent orientation, we always talk about getting back to the lead within the first 5 minutes. It really is speed to the lead. You want to be top of mind. You want that property that they were looking at to be top of mind. If you wait an hour, that's still within the time frame to be pretty quick. But again, hopefully it's less than that. If you wait a day though, then they've already spoken to another agent, right? There's somebody else out there who's going to be quicker and more responsive and who will ultimately earn the business. So, super important takeaway there to really be quick in responding, quick in getting back to people. All right, so there's a second review here as well from Mel. So my realtor, Miriam, awesome, was an absolute pleasure to work with. I had a tight deadline and needed to find a 5-bedroom rental house within a specific area. Miriam was quick to coordinate viewings upon my request and was able to get me the house that exceeded my needs and expectations. I highly recommend Miriam for all your realtor needs. Awesome. So again, great takeaway. Don't dismiss lease leads, right? Treat them as if they are buyers, because you know what? Most of the time they do end up buying properties. I see it all the time. Sometimes right away. Sometimes agents are working with a lease lead. Turns out they have a large deposit, and there's a conversation about why aren't you buying instead of leasing, and you can convert that lease lead right away. But it sounds like in this case they were able to find a property for lease. They were impressed with the service they received from Miriam, and when the time comes to hopefully buy something, they'll reach out again. So don't dismiss lease leads, treat them as if they're buyer leads, because they are your future buyer leads for sure. So again, shout out to all those agents who received positive reviews on the Zolo Google business profile. Let's talk a little bit about where you can generate your own reviews. So yes, ask your clients to post on the Zolo Google business profile, but let's also talk about things that you might want to implement in your business to receive reviews directly, right? It'll be easier for future clients to look at your reviews if you have them on, let's say, for example, a website or a Facebook business page. I'm giving it away. Let's take a look. So yes, setting up a Facebook business page. So this is definitely A great idea. It's free. I always like to recommend things that are free. I know in real estate, everything costs money, it seems like. So that's why I like to focus on things that are as effective and not costly. So definitely set up a Facebook business page. It's free to do. You can set yourself up, with a real estate page. I mean, just calling it, with your name and real estate. And then, of course, inviting your friends, right? Posting photos. If you don't have real estate content, if you don't have, very many solds, then post real estate content. There are some websites out there that help you come up with those ideas. You might even want to post things initially about or on certain holidays. So it was just Father's Day, you can post something about that. You can post a video of yourself. This is a page where you can interact. You can show your personality, and yes, you can collect reviews. So invite your friends and family initially. Maybe have this as part of your email signature so that everybody that you're talking to within the Zolo site hopefully likes your page, and you can continue talking to them that way. So it's a great way to stay connected. Do post regularly, even if you don't have sold, properties to advertise. So I'll mention a couple of, not free, unfortunately, but pretty inexpensive resources that you can go to if you are looking for content ideas. One of them, and there are many, but one of them is called Agent Crate. And so I will just type that again into the chat. I think it's agentcrate.com. So there are a bunch of email newsletter ideas, content for that, social media posts that are fun, they're interactive, some are humorous. So again, if you don't have a property that you've sold or you've recently leased, don't worry, there's still stuff that you can talk about, right? So it can even be your hobbies. People end up working with people that they know, like, and trust. So, if they have a common thread with you, if you like to go hiking, if you like to go biking, if you play tennis, whatever it is, even though it's a real estate page, you want to kind of sprinkle in a little bit of your personality in there. So definitely, I highly recommend creating a Facebook business page and asking for people to post reviews on there for you. All right, so yeah, as you can see here, highlighted in red, Valerie here has, five-star reviews based on the opinion of 4 people. So, you start somewhere, and you keep asking for reviews, and the more experience you have, the more that will build. But as I said, initially, even asking friends and family just to give you some credibility when you're talking to leads who haven't met you yet. They might want to look you up. All right, so just so you know, another place where you do get reviews is every single time you go out on a showing and you update that activity in the CRM, the Zolo bot is going to send a message to that lead saying, how do you rate your Zolo agent, right? So hopefully they'll give you a 5-star review. And then there's another auto message that goes out saying, great, please provide us with any feedback. So just so you know, that showing button is generating reviews for you. So don't be shy, always use that. Of course, you want to be using it anyway for the Zolo bot to know that you're an active agent, you're out there, you're doing showings. But if we do get, a more than just a 5-star review, if we get actually a description of their experience, we will share that with you. It's something that we see in the back end, and then you can take that and, post it on whatever platform you're using to generate reviews. So don't forget about that showing update. All right, so let's transition a little bit and let's talk about systems to have in place in order to provide this customer service. So, of course, as I said before, you do want to be organized, right? You want to make everybody feel special. You want to make everybody feel top of mind. And, I mentioned conversations, having conversations with 5, 10, maybe 20. Really, honestly, here at Zolo, you're going to be speaking to hundreds of people. So you want to make sure that you do have a system, that you remember people's criteria. And of course, you're not going to remember that off the top of your head, right? So you want to make sure that you have a system in place where you can organize all of that. And again, the Zolo system provides places for you to record information about what they're looking for. In particular, if you go to the client's profile, the very last section is called qualifying. It's a qualifying questionnaire. So it's a good thing for you to have as a starting point, to have it in front of you. If you're calling a lead back, pull that up and then have that questionnaire in front of you. Not only does it prompt you to ask all of those questions, but it also gives you a place to record all of their information. You also have an opportunity in the CRM, in the Zolo CRM, to schedule a follow-up, to add notes. So definitely schedule those follow-ups, right? Because you want to make sure that you're telling people, if they did inquire about a property, maybe the offer date is today, maybe it was yesterday, right? And so it's sold conditionally until Friday. So put a follow-up in there so you can call them on Friday and let them know what it sold for. So again, this is, just ways that you're going to stay on top of people. You must be scheduling follow-ups. Otherwise, it's going to be impossible to remember everybody. So yes, absolutely use the Zolo CRM. It does provide a lot of value, of course, not just that. It's a really good way to be organized. But let's talk about some other options. So yes, I was just talking about the Zolo CRM. So make sure that you are scheduling activities. You will see today's activities only on your dashboard. So you won't see everything that you've set up for the future, just whatever you've scheduled for today. So it is a good idea also to have a backup system. Now, I recommend this because going back to the Zolo CRM, again, if you engage with your clients, which obviously you're going to do, they will be in your engage folder, and it's going to be a long alphabetical list. So the shortfall there is that, if you were talking to somebody about a property in Milton, for example, and their budget is $800,000, for example, it's going to be hard to remember who that is just by looking at your engage list, right? Because again, it's just a long alphabetical list of leads that you've spoken to. So I highly recommend having an Excel spreadsheet. Again, I like to recommend things that are free. So Excel is free, and just have a list of all of the conversations that you've had, all of the people that you've had conversations with, and then just add an extra column here for area that they're looking in and budget. So again, using that Milton 800,000 price point as an example, you would have their name, their phone number, their email address, and of course, their budget and their area. And if you do come across a listing that is coming soon, so we have the workplace group, we have a channel in there called listings. So if there are agents who have a listing that's coming up, it hasn't hit MLS yet, they're probably going to post it on the listing page. And if it does happen to be a property in Milton for less than 800, you can look at your Excel spreadsheet and see who it was that you were speaking to about a property in that area within that price point. And then you can reach out to them and let them know, hey, I have a listing, or I know of a listing that's coming soon. Let's take a look at it before it hits the market, right? That is an excellent way to provide customer service. Again, you're making them feel like they are top of mind. You're thinking about them all the time. So, definitely have a system where you can organize, all of their information, their wants, their needs, their price point definitely in their area, so that you know who to reach out to when you see a coming soon sign. Originally, I had a notes section, but I would recommend having the client's URL. So when you receive a lead in the Zolo system, every single lead has their own unique URL. So I would copy and paste that into notes so that if you do have a conversation with them later, because you did contact them about a new listing that's coming up in Milton for 800, I would go ahead and click on the link and update your notes in the Zolo CRM, right? Because then you're satisfying the Zolo bot, you're letting the Zolo bot know that you're active, you're busy, you're engaging with clients, even after it initially came to you. So that's going to increase your activity. So I would keep all of the notes in the Zolo CRM and then just maybe a link to that in your spreadsheet. So hopefully that's an easy takeaway for you guys. Because honestly, this is a simple way to keep on top of all the conversations you're having and who's who, right? All right. So there are more sophisticated CRMs out there. I won't get into this too much, but there is Top Producer, there's Follow Up Boss, there's a whole bunch. So I did a quick Google search a while ago now. These were the top 23 that were recommended. So definitely take a look. Some of these are less expensive than others. I'm starting with Top Producer, which is probably more costly. It's probably in the $60 range. But actually, I'm noticing Streak here. I don't know if I have a screenshot for that. But Streak is something that you can download, and it's part of your Gmail. So that's a good way to stay organized as well. Exact Contact, though, is kind of the one that I always recommend because it's a good all-in-one system. So you do have, not only the CRM where you can enter in the leads you're talking to, you can enter in all of their search criteria. Yes, you can put in that link to the Zolo CRM, so to their client profile. You can do all of that. You can send out auto reminders on certain dates. You can send out birthday emails to people. You can have trip campaigns. So it is, a little bit more robust. It's more sophisticated. But the reason I recommend this one is because of that, but also because it is a platform where you can send out an email newsletter to all of your clients. So again, that's something else that I highly recommend, staying in touch with everybody, because yes, you want to have a system where you have follow-ups scheduled. You want to have a system where you know what they're looking for. If you see a coming soon sign, you can reach out to them. But you also want to just regularly keep in touch with everybody. So an email newsletter, if you have a system like Exact, you can send in a newsletter to all of your clients from there without having to also invest in iContact or MailChimp, which is a platform where you can send out mass emails. So it's already built into the CRM. And this one, unlike Top Producer that I just showed you, which was in the $60 range, this one I believe is in the $30 range. And even better, if you're brand new to real estate, they do provide a free trial. So I just like to recommend that one. So I believe the free trial is 6 months. So it gives you, a good amount of time to start building your business before you actually start paying for the system. So look into that one if you're not already familiar with it. But there are others that you can take a look at too. And no system is perfect. Some are better at certain things than others. Realty Juggler, the interface is a little bit 90s, but that's okay if you can get past that. It is a really good way to keep track of your commissions. But again, Exact Contact does that. It's just not as customizable. But yeah, then there's some other systems. This one also I found, Real Office 360. Again, this one is free, I believe, until you hit a certain number of leads. So by the time you get to a certain number of leads, hopefully, you're able to start paying for the CRM. So this one seemed to have a really cool user interface, but again, take a look at what you liked. There's a whole bunch, real estate CRMs, there's a whole bunch if you Google them, just whatever it is, just use it. Really, at the end of the day, the best CRM is going to be the one you use. So pick something that appeals to you, is user friendly. If it's overwhelming, don't use that one. All right. So let me know if you guys have any suggestions on CRMs, if you're using anything outside of the system. Love to hear from you guys. So I'm not just talking at you. But I will transition into the daily schedule, because this is also something really important when we're thinking about customer service. We want to make sure that nothing is falling through the cracks, right? We don't want to be agents on demand. We don't want to be, taking a showing request, dropping everything and running out the door to do that showing. Hopefully you can schedule them during a time that works for you, right? So yes, you want to be available, during certain time slots every day. Of course, there's going to be exceptions to that. If your client isn't available during your preferred time slot, then fine, you make an exception. But generally speaking, it's a good idea to have a daily schedule so that you are not just doing showings, but you're doing all of your admin, which includes the follow-up we just talked about, right? Because if you do have scheduled follow-ups, but you don't follow up with anybody for 3 or 4 days, now suddenly you're behind, and that follow-up list will probably look pretty overwhelming, right? And you might not do all of them, and then things have fallen through the cracks. So if we're talking about customer service, we're talking about following up with people, and we're talking about doing that daily. So let's take a look at a sample schedule, daily schedule. And it depends. It depends on what you like, right? Are you a morning person? Are you an evening person? Do you have kids? Do you want to do showings, between a certain time frame because of childcare arrangements that you have? So this has to be built around your life, really, so that yes, you can provide customer service, but also there's a second layer here. You don't want to burn out. So definitely, have a system. In the morning, if you're having your coffee, you're reading your emails, maybe this is where you do a little bit of, whatever online lead gen you're going to do. But definitely, you want to incorporate your follow-ups into your morning routine. I would probably recommend not following up with anybody at before 10 a.m. because, people aren't ready to talk about real estate until a little bit later. So, 11 to 12 is when you should be servicing your business, right? Responding to emails, texts, calling people back. You don't want to catch them at the beginning of the day when they're getting their day started. You might want to also, do those same tasks maybe later on in the day, maybe in the afternoon, 2 to 3. Again, whatever it is that works for your business, but you do want to have 2 separate times for follow-ups, because again, not everybody's going to be available in the morning. Those people who you couldn't get in the morning, try them in the afternoon. So for your daily schedule, have 2 time slots that work for basically admin, emails, texts, calls, follow-ups, all of that stuff. And then, as I said, have a time frame that you like to do showings, right? So again, if you have childcare arrangements between a certain time, then that's when you are suggesting to people, are you available on Tuesday at 2 p.m.? And right now that people are, working from home, they are very flexible. It used to be, well, no, I'm working 9 to 5. I can only do evenings and weekends. But, right now we have an opportunity to actually do showings in the afternoon if, again, that's what works best for you. So, have a time frame that you can suggest, because yes, sometimes people will say, I'm available now. Can I go see it now? Again, you don't want to be that agent on demand unless that is really the only time they can go, just because it's going to disrupt your day. Just make the suggestion. Are you available today at 2 or at 3? And if they are, which hopefully they are, then you can schedule it then, right? You can be prepared for your showing, instead of in a rush to schedule it. It doesn't serve anybody actually when you get a long list of properties from a client. They want to see it right away and they want to see 3 properties, and then they're throwing 2 more that they want to show you. Maybe have, again, something for you in place that you say, you know what, it's preferable to give 24 hours notice. Even if it's not tenanted, it's just for you to be able to schedule them in geographical order, right? You want to map these showings. You want to make sure that you're, not bouncing from A to Z, but you're going from one property to another in a way that makes sense in the least amount of time possible. You know exactly what all of these properties are accepting offers. Again, it gives you time to prepare. It gives you time to properly show these properties, without, giving them what you think they want, which is, showing on demand, and then you're showing up not prepared, right? So we're talking about customer service. Let them know, it's best if I have 24 hours notice for any properties, and I will line it up, right? So have a daily schedule. All right. So of course we need to talk about phone calls. So your initial conversation is so important. You want to sound friendly, enthusiastic, knowledgeable on these phone calls. So you definitely want to have, scripts maybe are not really what I recommend, but just knowing what questions you need to ask and hopefully just having a conversation that flows. Again, the call lab on Friday is a great way to role play and just come up with how you're going to respond to certain things. The more you make these calls, the more you'll have your standard responses. But again, if you're just starting out, we do have the call lab available to you on Fridays. But let's just take a look. So again, thinking about that daily schedule, right? And I talked about having a time in your day where you are responding to emails, you're getting back to people, you're scheduling showings, but there should be a time in your day that you are replying to leads that are coming in, not just from the Zolo system, but hopefully you're following up as well with other leads that you've previously spoken to. And hopefully you have, another sort of lead gen idea that you're implementing that also, means that you're making phone calls. So, you might want to just schedule an hour out of your day to make these phone calls, maybe 2 hours, or you might set a goal for yourself so that you are going to make phone calls until something is achieved, right? It can be a certain amount of calls. It could be a certain amount of emails gathered. But the thing that I like to focus on is appointments booked. So don't stop making your calls until you've scheduled an appointment. It doesn't need to be an appointment for that day or tomorrow. It could be for the weekend. But if you schedule an appointment every day, you'll be busy. And the busier you are, the more chances you have at actually writing offers and getting them accepted. So, you could even be lining up your appointments for, one day, all back to back. Or if you like to have showings, as I said before, in a certain time block every day, then hopefully your calendar is full. Hopefully your calendar is full of showings. That's what we do as realtors. So, sitting down, making those calls until you have actually booked an appointment. Make that your goal every day, and you'll be busy. So, have a goal for yourself when you're making calls. Those calls in particular, as I said, I don't so much follow a script. Really, I like to think about just a couple of questions. So let's just jump to that slide here. Really, I like to start off with how can I help you? Because that's going to give them the floor, right? They're going to tell you everything that they are looking for. So you want to be listening, right? I mean, this is part of customer service. You want to make sure that the client feels that they're being heard, right? So how can I help you? What are you looking for? What's your time frame? Like, just have that conversation. How can I help? Generally allows the client to give you sometimes their whole life story. So not just what they're looking for and when, but their circumstances, the whole thing, right? So, listen, you do want to ask halfway through the conversation if they're familiar with the process. And it really doesn't matter if they say yes or no. You want to ask them if they're familiar with the process, because that's going to give you an opportunity to do what you do best, which is explain the process. So, are you familiar with the buying process? Are you familiar with the renting process? If they say, oh yeah, we rented a year ago. Okay, great. So you know it's really competitive right now. And then you carry on with explaining the process. So what is the process? It depends, right? If you're talking to a buyer, if you're talking to a renter, you might want to jot down a few things for, by their type of lead. With renting, of course, you want to make sure that they know they need a certain credit score, typically 650 or above. You want to make sure that they have, enough income to support the rent. And there's a certain way of phrasing it, right? You're not asking them straight up, what's your income? You might want to preface it with, the landlords are looking for, your income to be 3 times the amount of rent. Can we show that on the rental application? So if the rent is 2,500, you're multiplying that by 3 really quickly. You're doing some quick math, and you just ask them, can we show that you're making at least 7,500 on your rental application, right? So again, it's not you, it's it's the landlord that's requesting this. Now, if you're talking to a buyer lead, you definitely want to let them know right now that the market is really competitive. So, you can ask them questions. Have they been pre-approved? But you're gonna pre-qualify buyers less than you would a renter, right? You do want to go to that in-person meeting. You can ask them questions. Have you been pre-approved? And if they say, well, no, not yet. Okay, no worries. If they think that that's going to be their budget, sure, let's go ahead and take a look. And, I can explain the process to you further and put you in touch with, a few mortgage brokers, right? If they haven't been pre-approved. So the chances of them coming back to you after they have been qualified, they have been pre-approved, of course, are higher if they actually met you. So do take the time. Take the time to meet them, take the time to show them a property, and take the time to educate them on the process. So are you familiar with the process? Definitely an important question in the middle of your conversation. And then at the end, if you determine that, yes, they are in fact qualified, or it sounds like they have a good chance of being qualified, then perfect. When would you like to see the property, right? Because that's your goal. You're making calls with the idea of scheduling an appointment. So when would you like to see the property? If they say tomorrow at 2, perfect. That's your timeline that you're hoping for. You can schedule the showing. You can follow up with an email, confirm the showing, and meet them there, of course, on time. So, definitely having that goal in mind of scheduling the showing. So, and then of course you want to, jump in a little bit further once you do have them face to face about the process, because as we saw with those reviews at the beginning of the session here, people were commenting on their experiences with realtors here at Zolo, and their experience was that they felt prepared. So really, that's going to be a highlight of your customer service, is to prepare your clients. So that brings me to this. Let's prepare your clients. Let's talk about a couple of things. Now, there are materials that you can put together. You can have a buyer's guide, you can have a seller's guide, you can have a renter's guide even. But what I'm just going to recommend here, because I want this to be about customer service. I don't want this to make you feel overwhelmed that you need to have all of these materials. You really don't. Just have maybe a roadmap that you can share with your clients. So this is something that you can find on Breakthrough Broker. That's another website that I always recommend because it's free. You can download a whole bunch of materials, you can customize them. So this actually doesn't exist, the renter's roadmap. I took the buyer's roadmap and then just changed it, right? So there were 8 steps, and I tweaked it to apply to a renter. So this is something that you might want to bring to a showing with you and talk to your clients about the process. So it does 2 things. It's something that you can give to them. It also gives you talking points so you don't forget anything, right? You're not coming up with this off the top of your head, especially if you're not super familiar with the process yet yourself. Maybe you haven't had any, leases accepted yet, but you can educate them. So knowing what the process is and informing them of that is going to, again, provide them with good customer service. They're going to feel prepared. They're going to feel like they're in good hands with you. So the renter's roadmap here, it's 8 steps that, again, I tweaked from the buyer's roadmap. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop in the chat breakthroughbroker.com. Again, it's free and you can download a whole bunch of material. So you can download buyer's guides, sellers, like listing presentations, but these roadmaps I find to be really helpful because they're short, they're sweet, they're to the point, and it does the trick. It's going to educate them on the process, which makes you sound knowledgeable. So step one, of course, they need to complete the rental application. With a renter, they need to have their documents ready, their credit score, their employment letter, or pay stubs, and of course their photo ID. So that needs to be ready, and you need to emphasize why. The lease market is really competitive, so they need to have this ready. If they find something that they like and it takes them 2 days to collect these documents, that property is gone, it's been leased, right? So really important to emphasize that, to really have it ready before you start searching for homes, because that's going to be step 3. You want to be ready with your documents. They may not provide it to you right away, which is fine, but at least you know that they have it, and hopefully you have gathered the information verbally from them. So you can search for homes. Once they find something that they like, you can make an offer. All of their documents usually gets provided at that point, and then you can negotiate the contract. So there are some email templates that I can share with you. That's a separate webinar. We talk about leases 101, but this is just you guiding them through the process, what you're going to do, what you're going to take on, and then of course they need to deliver the deposit as soon as it's accepted. So the deposit is going to be first and last month's rent. This is an important thing to say. I've heard actually quite a few times that the agents have gone out, they've done some work with lease leads, and the offer gets accepted, and then they didn't realize that they needed $5,000 for a deposit, right? The rent is 25, and they didn't realize they needed that much money available for the deposit. So this is definitely something that you want to tell them beforehand. So again, it's not a surprise, and also it's not going to be a waste of your time. You know that they know that, and you know that they have it. So deliver the deposit. And what that is going to be. So is it going to be first and last month's rent? Do they have more that you can offer? So talk to them about that. And then of course they do need to get tenants insurance and utilities. So again, that's another thing. Sometimes people wonder where they can get tenants insurance. So if they have questions around that, you're talking to them about that before they actually have an offer accepted. So informing them of that. And then of course at the end, exchanging keys and post-dated checks. So that's something that right now is done pretty virtually, or not virtually, it's done contactless. So the keys might be still in a lockbox. They might need to drop off post-dated checks in a mailbox. So again, just informing them on what the process is and what to expect. So that's a roadmap. It's a one-pager that you can create, and again, that just educates your clients on the process. So a buyer's roadmap is different, right? There's different steps, different things that are involved. So, you might notice here that you're meeting with a real estate professional first, even though you may or may not be pre-approved. So again, my recommendation is always to go to that in-person meeting. So go and show the properties that they think that they qualify for. If not, that's okay. You've already started building the relationship with these clients. And if the next step for them is to get pre-approved, then hopefully that just determines the price point, right? So even though they weren't pre-approved beforehand, now they're going to come back to you and say, hey, guess what? We got pre-approved and we can spend up to $1 million. Perfect. So make sure that you are meeting with them, because again, the chances of them coming back to you after their pre-approval is higher if you've already met with them. So at that point, you can really get serious about searching for homes within their price point. Talk to them about the market. Let them know, if the properties are holding off on offers. If they're accepting offers anytime, let them know that that doesn't mean that they're not going to be in a multiple offer situation, right? It may be that you submit an offer and somebody else comes out of the woodwork, and you are still in competition. Just hopefully not as much competition as if they were holding off on offers. So just explain that. And if you're not sure, if you've never done one before, that's why we have here, your growth managers, your team leaders who can reach out to any of us, and we can talk to you about, what might happen with this property, right? And so that you can tell your clients that. So make an offer, negotiate the contract. So talking to them about, the importance right now in this market to go in with a clean offer. What does that mean, right? So you want to make sure that their financing, their pre-approval is, confirmed, hopefully, so that you can go in without financing condition. You don't want to be going in with, inspection and, all of that, ideally, because in this market, unfortunately, those offers don't really get accepted, although it does happen. So, if you have a client who insists on an inspection, there's a couple of things that you might want to do, right? You can do a mini inspection before you actually offer on the property, or you might want to put it in as a condition and maybe only ask for 1 day or 2 days to have an inspector through, right? Schedule an appointment with an inspector so you've already got that lined up and you're not scrambling for one at the last minute. So there are ideas. So again, brainstorm with your team lead or growth manager. Let them know that the deposit is typically 5% of the purchase price. The more, the better. So again, there's no surprises there. You're not going to have an accepted offer with a deposit that's due within 24 hours, and they need to withdraw it from their RSP, which takes longer, right? So no surprises. Everybody knows what to expect. So you're delivering the deposit, probably within 24 hours of the offer being accepted, if not with the offer. Go over final details with them. That can mean a variety of things depending on the offer. If there are conditions, then you of course want to deal with those, right? Review the status certificate, for example. Hopefully you have a lawyer that you can put them in touch with. There is a service that I came across recently. It's called legalreview.ca, I believe. And I think they will have a lawyer review your status certificate within a couple of hours, and it's $40. So that's something that you might want to offer your clients, right? And then talk to them about closing day, right? That's really when the mortgage brokers and the lawyers take over and they do their magic. So, talk to them about that and what your involvement is going to be, if anything, on that day. So that's the buyer's roadmap. And then last but not least, you've got a seller's roadmap, which would probably be included, in a listing presentation. But you know what? Bring one of these with you when you are showing a buyer a property, because this is how we uncover our seller leads. If you are showing properties to a buyer and it sounds like, or they tell you that they do have a property that they need to sell before they can buy something, perfect. Have this roadmap ready and talk to them. You know what? I'm happy to come, pay a visit. We can, talk about price. I'll bring you some comparables. At that point, you'll have to prepare your home. If you need it staged, we need some time for that. We'll have, the photographer come in, do a virtual tour even. And then of course, list your home for sale on a certain day. You can talk to them about strategy. We're going to list it on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. We're going to take offers on Monday, right? And you can talk to them about how you manage all of that. So this is all to say you are educating your clients on the process. You are coming across as knowledgeable. They're going to feel like they're in good hands. And at the end of the day, this is all about customer service and will hopefully result in positive reviews. So talking to them about the rest of the process there when you're talking to sellers. So I do have a few minutes left. There were a few kind of best practices that I was going to cover quickly. So tips and tricks here. But before I jump in, let me know if you guys have any comments. Danu, I'm glad to hear that this is working for you today. That's great. And yeah, let me know if there are any other comments. I think you commented on that when we were talking about the daily schedule. So yeah, I'm hoping that that is something you can implement and that works for you. All right, awesome, sounds good. So best practices, I'll go through this kind of probably quicker than I meant to. But yes, I mean, let's just focus on customer service. What are some takeaways? So best practices, tips and tricks to, get those positive reviews at the end of the day. Respond quickly. Respond not only when that lead comes in, but when they're asking you, what did this sell for? What did that sell for? Is this one taking an offer date? Be responsive, be, as quick with it as you possibly can. So the takeaway here is definitely have the CRM on your phone, because you want to make sure that you're getting notified of new inquiries that are coming in so that you can be responsive. So, you can respond right from your phone if you're not at your computer. Don't wait until you're at your computer, respond. And if you're not available to really to provide the information, at least respond and say, you know what, I'm out on showings right now, but as soon as I'm back on my computer, I will let you know what this one sold for. And then don't forget to do that. So respond quickly, be responsive. Anticipate their needs. So, this is again going to go back to your initial conversation, or even when you meet with them, right? You discover a lot when you meet with people. Somebody might have a bad need, may not want 3 floors, so if you come across something that has, maybe it's a rancher, maybe it only has the basement, then let them know. I think this might be a good fit for you. So again, this is what we're talking about with customer service, going above and beyond. It's not just about what they're asking you to do, but also just be mindful of what they might need. So definitely anticipating needs is something else that you want to consider. Share information. So yes, again, going back to, it has it sold conditionally? When do those conditions expire? Schedule some sort of follow-up so that you can reach out to them without them having to reach out to you, without having them to say, hey, so what happened to that property? You already have it diarized in your calendar that you can share information. Yes, it's sold. This is the number. What do you think of that? Always trying to engage, right? Having a conversation. So share information, definitely, letting them know what's happening in the market and specifically to the properties they inquired about. Sometimes we need a lot of patience in this business. So, there are clients who, may not be qualified yet, but the fact that you went on a showing with them and they liked you and they are going to work towards saving a little bit more of a down payment, hopefully they do get back to you in the future. This again is the importance of having an email newsletter. If somebody's not qualified and they still need to save, this isn't somebody that you're going to reach out to every week with new listings, right? But you do want to stay in touch with them. You want to be top of mind. So definitely implement an email newsletter. I can't emphasize that enough because we do need to have patience in this market. Not everybody's going to be ready to buy right now, today, tomorrow, right? Some people are just curious. They want to know how this works and what they need to do in order to get into the market, to become homeowners. And sometimes that's a long process for people. So, you have to guide them on the process and just be patient. So really be with your hellos and goodbyes. This is kind of where you leave an impression, right? So always answer your phone professionally. Always leave them feeling good, right? I'm going to get back to you, on Friday and let you know what happened with this property, whatever it is. Just maintaining that professionalism. That's what people remember, right? Your hellos and goodbyes. Just be mindful of that. And remember the details. Remember their details. Again, you're not going to remember everybody's details, kids' names, birthdays, that for hundreds of people that you talk to, honestly, it's a good problem to have, right? You're talking to a lot of people. You're not going to remember everybody's details. This is why it's important to have a system in place so that you can refer back to that and remind yourself, oh yeah, they have 2 kids and 1 on the way, you can have a conversation with them about, how they're doing and make it, of course, tailored to their specific circumstances, right? That's going to, again, make them feel like they're top of mind. Compare yourself to other industries. This is a really great one because, yes, we can compare ourselves to other realtors all day long, but take it to the next level, right? Like, what is it that you enjoy about, your experiences in other industries? If you're going to a restaurant, maybe, it's one that you frequent quite often. Do they remember your name? Do they remember what you order? Right? These are all nice personal touches. Those are the sorts of things that you should remember about your clients, right? What they like, what they didn't like about a previous property, right? You can point out that this property that they're looking at doesn't have that, for example, right? So just knowing their likes and bringing that up when you're actually working with them. So do compare yourself, with other industries because, there's some industries out there that really focus on customer service and getting those reviews. And, a lot of consumers won't go to certain establishments if their reviews are poor, right? Definitely, compare yourself because, these are industries that are really focused on customer service. All right, well, let me know if you guys have any questions. I think that covers a lot today, actually. And I had a good group of you, so thank you so much for listening today. And again, if you have things that you've implemented in your business that has generated some positive reviews, I'd love to hear from you. If you don't want to chat with me now, I'm always available. You can reach out to me, jane.stevens@zolo.ca. Otherwise, I will leave you there. And hopefully you guys implement some of this stuff. Honestly, at the end of the day, it's going to make your business better, right? You're going to be more organized. You're going to be, just more of service to your customers. So again, thank you for joining me, and I will see you guys on the next webinar. Thanks so much, guys. Have a good day.